All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be continuing our work with AI and pro audio equipment. Specifically, we're going to continue the scenario that we've been working with the other videos around automating some workflows with the X32. So today's scenario starts with, we're going to do a little role playing again. We've got Nigel on site at a club. And Nigel took a console with him, but it failed for whatever reason. Won't turn on. The club has an X32 available, but he doesn't have time to program his show from scratch. So here on the screen on the left, we've got Nigel. He's going to send an email to Moz. Now, if this is your first video, Moz is my OpenClaw AI assistant. He's going to send an AI to Moz, and if you read it, it says, "The mixer just died at the club. They have an X32. Can you send me a scene file?" And he's attaching this stage plot, which looks like this. We're going to come back to this and look at it in a little more detail, but this is the stage plot. He's attaching that to the email, and I'm going to send this off to Moz. And this is just a demo email client, so it's not super fast. So, okay, that message, off it went. Great. So while that's happening, we're going to talk about something else. So continuing our conversation about AI technologies and how we could possibly use them in our workflows, we've done some interesting things. There's probably some of you making the argument they're not practical. And to some extent, I do agree with that. I'm more demonstrating how all this stuff fits together rather than trying to show you a production-ready product ready for you to deploy and use, right? This is really, in some ways, academic, educational, and mainly to plant some seeds into your brain about where AI is at, the kinds of things it can do, what it can't do, some of the pieces to the puzzle, etc. So, but today we're going to combine, I don't know, I suppose you can consider these some more traditional things, but also add some AI to it. And what do I mean by that? So I've written this website that you're looking at here. So this is just, your typical website. It's got some web services. And we're continuing the whole stage plot recognition, scene file, mixer programming scenario with this website now. And so what we can do here is we can take that same stage plot that we just sent to Moz. Now we're doing this in parallel, two separate things, right? Just to be clear. So Moz and Nigel, we've got that scenario going on in the background. We're going to talk about this, just us, right? How this tool works. So I can just drag in the same stage plot to this tool. Now this tool still uses AI, so I have to give it an API key because all these AI companies, they don't do this stuff for free. It's not expensive, it's just a few pennies to do this, but you do need an API key. So I'm going to insert that. And this tool has two modes. It has an interactive mode and an autonomous mode. I'm going to show you both. So the first thing we're going to do here is interactive mode. So we've attached the stage plot. Now we're going to say, analyze this stage plot. And you can see here in the status, it's telling us what it's doing, right? So essentially, it's taking that, it's uploading it to Claude, Anthropic, and it's doing vision recognition on it. It's determining the inputs, what it needs to create, etc. Just like we did in our previous example. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, I highly encourage you to go back and watch those. There's some interesting things that we do in those videos, and this is building on it. It's essentially all the same scenario that we're working, which is programming the console from a stage plot, but we're doing it in different ways using different technologies, right? So it looks like it's almost done here. It says almost there, finalizing monitor sends and DCA groups. So it's still chugging away here. Should be done here momentarily. So this would be a good time. Oh, there it is. So we attached the image of the stage plot. It went out to AI, did the interpretation. Now it's sent back information to us about what it found, and it found the input list. And we can do some customizations here. If we want to change names, we can do that with the type of field. This is just some basic stuff. Nothing too crazy. Just you can, if you want to change some colors, if you want the drums red, we can do that. We'll just do a couple. We'll just do kick, snare, and this particular one does have a hat. Okay. So you can make some changes here, just basic stuff, nothing too fancy. Just if you want to kind of spot check what it found and edit it, you can, right? That's what this tool does. But when you're done, you can download the scene file. You can see here, boom, it just downloaded. You can see I've done some tests here, obviously. So it's Taken Alive number 6. So let's go ahead. I've reset the console. Let's go ahead and load that in and see what it looks like. So here it is, Taken Alive 6. And voila, just like that, it has programmed the console. Okay, great. So let's take a look at what it actually did, though. Is it accurate? Well, okay, let's compare. Kick, snare, top, snare bottom, rack, floor, hat, overheads, bass, guitar 1, guitar 2, guitar 3, synth, percussion, vocals. I think it got everything. Now, what's interesting here, though, take a look at this, what it did. First of all, if we look at the vocal channel here, it says Vox Ruby Ton. So it kind of tried to interpret his name and add it to the channel description, which is kind of neat. It didn't do that with the stage left vocal, though. That's kind of interesting. The other thing I noticed here is that the input list does not have anything for playback, but it added playback left, right, which is interesting. And it got that from, I believe, this little icon where it says they've got a playback rig. So even though the band didn't think that was important and didn't put that in their input list, the AI caught that and added channels for it. So that's kind of interesting, right? So let's take a look. What else did it do here, right? Let's take a look at these EQ curves, right? There's the kick drum, pretty reasonable. Snare bottom, rack tom, floor tom, hi-hat with a nice high pass on it, overheads with high pass on it. And you can see the overheads have the same identical EQ on it, which is good. Bass guitar, all the guitars look similar but slightly different, which is good. Probably what you want if you have 3 guitars. You're going to have to carve out some space in the mix. Synth, percussion, all pretty standard stuff. Let's take a look at the monitor mixes. What did it do? Really basic monitor mix. So this is monitor 1. It looks like it's for the lead vocalist. So it's got some lead vocal in it. It's got the background vocal, and it's got some guitar. Real basic starting point. Same with Joe. Joe is the background vocal, so he's primary. He's got the lead vocal little duct there with his guitar. We've got James, which is the bass player. It just puts some bass in his monitor. Good starting point. And then the drums. Yeah, kick, snare. A couple of the toms. Doesn't have the hi-hat, but, a starting point for a drum mix. We all know, monitor mixes are very subjective anyway. We've talked about that in a previous video. So these are just all kind of starting points that it's trying to help us out with. So very interesting what it did. I think it's pretty reasonable and got the board to a state where we're probably ready to start interacting with the band and start probably doing some sound check, gaining the channels, those kinds of things. But it's got the basics of the console programmed. Pretty neat. So that is interactive mode over here. Now we can switch this to autonomous mode. I'm going to do that, and we're going to use a different stage plot. Let's see what this one looks like. Another similar type of band, but different. So let's use this one. This is sample 3. We'll drag this one over. And this is autonomous mode. So it's not going to, the only difference between these two modes is this is just going to download the scene automatically. It's not going to give you that opportunity to tweak it. So if you don't care about that, you don't find it useful, you're in a hurry, whatever the case is, you can use autonomous mode and do the same analysis. So once again, we're sending it to the AI. It's doing its interpretation of this stage plot. While it's doing that, I'm going to come over here and reset the console. Let it chug on that for a second. Okay, we've got a brand new console. We're just waiting for it. It looks like it says it's generating the EQ curves, gates, and compression, building the scene file. While we're waiting, this is a good time. If you're liking this content, I would appreciate a like, a subscribe, share, tell people about it. Hopefully you're finding some value in this stuff, or at least maybe learning some things you didn't know about AI and some of the capabilities. Okay, so it just downloaded that says live band setup 1. So let's load that into the console. We'll go back here. We're going to load. We're going to find our live band setup 1. I'm going to load that in. Oops, got a little ahead of myself. Close this window, and we'll bring up the stage plot and kind of compare again. So we've got kick, snare, rack, floor, overhead, overhead, guitar, bass, steel. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what it meant by request DI. Not sure what that is. So a little, but it keeps going. It's got the nylon, steel, and then one. Oh, okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, I got it. That's channel 11. Yeah, channel 11. Okay, so it is there. I just didn't quite realize what it was. And it's got the vocals. Yep, all the way up to 16. It pulled out the names so we can reference the performers by name. Let's take a look at, it did our DCAs. It's done EQ curves. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at the whole console. Yeah, so it did EQ curves, it's done gates, it's done compression, DCAs. Let's take a look at the monitor mixes, very similar to the last one. So this is the drum mix. This is Juan. Juan is stage right. Bass and Juan, yeah. Okay, this is Bob. Here we go, Bob and guitar. This is Tony. Tony and just Tony. Didn't figure out what Tony was playing. Maybe nothing, maybe he's the lead singer, I'm not sure. And then Rick with vocals and this DI. So pretty good job, all things considered, getting the console into a state where it's, you know, probably 85, 90% of the way there, ready to do a sound check. So that's 2 different stage plots, 2 different bands, generated 2 different scene files, and did a pretty good job. So a little more, so this is running locally on my machine. It's just my machine's hosting a website. And this website on the back end, like I said, it has a web service that knows how to talk to AI, and in this case, it's Claude, Anthropic, and handles all of that. So this is that tool. So now let's go back to our scenario with Nigel and Moz and kind of see where we're at. We got a reply. Let's see what it says. And it says, from Moz on behalf of me, Jason, hey, Nigel, here's your X32 scene file generated from your stage plot that you sent me, right? Just loaded on the console. Okay. So remember the scenario here. Nigel was at the club. The console that he took with him died for whatever the reason was. And the club had an X32 available to use, but he didn't have a show file for it because he uses, pick your console. a Digico, Allen and Heath, whatever. So he didn't have a show file for an X32. So he was in panic mode. So he emailed Moz and say, hey, here's the band stage plot for tonight. Help me out. Send me a show file for this. And that's the reply that we just got from Moz. Moz is my OpenClaw AI assistant that's running. I repeat myself with stuff like that because I know some people jump around. And so I'm trying to maintain context for those folks who are jumping around. Okay, so we got this scene file back from Moz. Let's download it. Whoops. Download. All right, Nigel sample 2. Let's reset the console. Setup, mixer. And remember, we sent sample 2 to him, which was the first stage plot we looked at on our own. All right, so the console's reset. Let's load in what Moz sent us. Nigel sample 2. I did it twice by accident, so we're going to take the first one. They should be identical. And here we go. Let's close this window. We'll open this back up. All right, kick, snare, top, snare, bottom, rack, floor, hat, overhead, overhead, bass, guitar, 1, 2, 3, synth, percussion, vocal, vocal, vocal. And this time, not only did it give us the playback, once again, it interpreted this icon, even though the band did not specify inputs for a playback rig. Moz and the AI noticed this and said, well, you're probably going to need inputs for that. And it put them in here. Not only the playback, it put a click track, right? Probably don't need the click track at front of house, but we don't know. In this club, we might have to do a monitor mix for somebody from front of house who needs the click. So Moz was trying to help us out. You know, it put channels for that. So I think it did a really good job. And you can see here, it put gates, it's put compression, it's put EQ curves, which we've already looked at. We've got the monitor mixes again. So Moz just saved Nigel's butt, right? And all Nigel had to do was email Moz with the stage plot that says, hey, I need some help here. Send me back a show file for this X32 console because my console just died, right? So for all the folks that were kind of getting on me a little bit, and that's okay, keep doing that. I don't mind it, right? Let's keep perspective. For all those folks that says, that wasn't too practical. The previous examples you were showing us, they were interesting, but practicality-wise, I don't know if that would have fit my workflow. I get it. That's fair. Here's one I think that might, okay? This is just you interacting with the AI with email. You send it, you get a show file back, you load it in the console. There's no connection required, no MCP. You know, it's just you're interacting with the AI like you would an assistant. And you get that show file back, you load it in the console. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I have one more thing, though. I'm pulling a Steve Jobs on you. So for those of you who stuck around to the end, I want you to go to, if you find this interesting and you want to try it for yourself, I want you to go to showconvert.com. This tool is out there. You can try it out. You will need an Anthropic API key to do it. Now, my site doesn't store your key, but I understand some of you might have security concerns about throwing an API key out there. Totally understand. I am telling you, though, I don't store the key. I don't store the image. I don't store anything about it. This is just an interactive tool that goes to the AI and gives you a show file. If you want to try it, just put your API key in there and use the tool like I just showed you. You'll download a scene file, load it in your console, review it first, load it in your console and see how it works for you. I'd be interested to hear your experience with it. All that said, for the security-minded folks who, what you can do is you can create the API key, test the tool out, and delete the API key, right? If you're really concerned about it. And I don't blame you if you are, right? You shouldn't be throwing your API keys out on, random internet tools. But you can still try the tool with and still control your risk exposure. Just create the API key, test it out, and delete the API key, right? Also, if you are going to use the tool, it's as is. Use at your own risk. I'm not going to support the tool. I'm not even going to guarantee the tool will be up for an extended period of time. I'm planning on leaving it up, but if it crashes, I'm not taking emails to tell you how to use it or anything like this. This is on you to try it if you want to do, right? So I just want to make that clear. It's as is, no support, no guarantees, okay? But I want you guys to try it out. See if it works for you, okay? So I'll talk to you guys later. That's it for today.